What are the invisible forces that help us survive? From a split-second response when faced with danger, or a baby's inborn ability to reject potentially harmful food, to the huge risks we'll take when confronted by desperate situations. The answers lie deep within every single one of us, and they define what it is to be human. This is the story of our extraordinary instincts and why we behave the way we do. And our journey begins not here in our crowded modern world, but here in the vast wilderness of the African savannah. Because this is the landscape where early humans took their first footsteps and our instincts were forged. I want to explore what it means to be human, because even after a lifetime studying the body, I only understand part of the human story. This is a pioneering journey. For the first time ever, we're beginning to comprehend the foundations of behavior, our human instincts. This is the story of the most basic instinct of all, the instinct to survive. We'll discover how every one of us possesses an armory of instincts to protect us from danger, even if we're barely aware of it. And the story begins at the moment of birth.
Over the last 40 years, I've been present at literally thousands of births, and it's always an intensely moving experience to see the beginnings of life. But I don't think I've ever assisted at a delivery like this before.
It's a boy, and an Aberdeen Angus. Like every living creature, he's born with a pre-programmed set of instincts. Some will only be revealed as he matures, but even at the moment of birth, they're all in place, waiting to be called upon to help him cope with the trials of life. This little chap is just 2 hours old, and he's not really standing up. He's actually walking around. He's actually on my foot at the moment. And all his survival instincts are intact. Now, by comparison, human babies at this stage are virtually useless. You look at the camera. Hmm? Even at 6 months, these babies can't survive on their own. They can't even sit upright. Of all the mammals, we produce the most helpless of babies. And that's all because 2 million years ago, our early ancestors stood up and walked. As a result, the female pelvis grew narrower, but the human brain also grew significantly in size. So for a baby's big head to pass through a small birth canal, the baby has to be born well before the brain is fully developed. That evolutionary trade-off meant this: a highly vulnerable baby, born before its time, wholly reliant on its parents. So how does a baby survive? It has one key instinct: to get noticed at all costs. Jasper is just a few weeks old. Like all newborn babies, he's using the one powerful weapon he has in his limited armory. He cries, and he cries, and he cries, making sure the whole household is at the mercy of a bawling creature weighing less than a Christmas turkey.
When he cries, to me it means, Mum, come and get me, there's something wrong, I need you now, and you just have to drop everything and go to him. Some people say leave them, but how can you leave that? You can't.
The instinct to cry is more sophisticated than you might think. Babies alter both the pitch and volume depending on how urgent their need is for help. The louder and more piercing the scream, the quicker the response.
I never ever imagined how loud a baby could scream. You read books, you hear about screaming babies, but until you've got one and it's there and it's in your ear, sound is like nothing else.
And there's a rule that unites all birds and mammals. The more needy the baby, the louder the sound it produces. When a human baby's cry is measured in decibels, the results are extraordinary.
In fact, a baby's cry is just as hard to ignore as this pneumatic drill.
Amazingly, Jasper's cry can match the ear-splitting 97 decibels produced by the drill.
Both are very insistent and both are very loud.
A baby's cry is such a powerful tool for survival, it can even induce milk from its mother's breast. Essential when you haven't got much else going for you. Because from the moment we're born, it's the energy that food gives us that keeps us alive. Food is our fuel, and without it we die. But it's not just any food that we crave. Why is it we're all drawn to food like this, which is high in calories and fat? 1,000 billion eggs are produced worldwide every year. 600,000 tons of sugar are consumed each week. 800 tons of French fries are eaten every hour. And why? It's because our appetites were formed in a world where abundant food was simply unimaginable. For millions of years, food of any sort was hard to come by. Our ancestors almost certainly fought hard for the calories that were so crucial to their survival. So those that craved food that was high in calories and rich in fat were more likely to survive. It was survival of the fattest. The instinct to lay down fat for lean times ahead made perfect sense in an unpredictable world. But why are those instincts still with us today? Let me show you something rather extraordinary. This ribbon is going to represent the amount of time that's passed since the human story really began. It starts here about 4.5 million years ago when our first human ancestors were identified. And now, each stride I take will represent about 100,000 years. As I walk through time to the present day, I'm passing thousands of generations of early humans who struggled to survive in this barren landscape. Those of them who craved calorie-rich food lived and passed on their genes to their children. Those who didn't died. Gradually, over millions of years, that craving for calories became instinctive behavior, handed down from generation to generation, and it's still embedded in all of us today. And this flag, just 10 centimeters from the end of the ribbon, is the distance in time, 10,000 years, since humans first started cultivating crops. And the tip of my pencil, just here, is the last 100 years, when for some of us at least, food has been readily available and plentiful. So it's no surprise that the instincts which were forged so many millions of years ago have not yet caught up with the plenty that some humans are now fortunate enough to enjoy. I always thought that I craved fatty food like this because I was greedy. So it's a comfort to discover that I'm simply a product of millions of years of evolution, a descendant from a time when greed really was good. Delicious. The instinct to have the right type of food is very powerful. We know what to eat even in the most unfamiliar landscape. Ken Wilson's instincts to find nourishment were tested to the limit when a trip to Mexico went disastrously wrong. He was visiting a ruin in the jungle and took a wrong path, one that nearly led to his death. After days alone, Ken was desperately hungry. He was deep in the jungle, surrounded by unknown plants and animals, but he sensed which food would keep him alive.
I was sort of looking for anything that might be of some nourishment, and I saw this lizard. I was trying to decide if I was really that desperate or not, but I knew that I had to eat something. As I started putting him in my mouth, he sprawled out his little legs in my throat and kind of made me gag, and I'd pull him back out, and I had to smack his head up against the tree a couple of times to make sure he was dead. And I swallowed him whole.
But one small lizard didn't sustain Ken for long, and soon he was close to death.
It'd been 12, 13 days. I noticed there was vultures that started following me around. First few days, there was a couple there, and then there were a few more, and I began to wonder if maybe they knew something that I didn't. And that kind of gave me the creeps. I would watch them circle overhead. One day, the vultures were so close, they circled all the way down to the ground, and I could actually hear the wind off their wings when they went by. I gave a lot of thought to dying after a while, but then again, I had to convince myself that I was perfectly capable of getting out of there on my own, and I was going to do it.
Ken needed to find more food if he was going to live.
I saw some fruit that was growing on a tree. As I bit into it, it didn't taste so bad at first. And as I started to chew it, it became very bitter. It had to taste, a chemical taste like lighter fluid. It was awful. I was afraid that that was going to be poison.
The instinct to spit out the bitter-tasting fruit may well have saved Ken's life. After 19 days in the jungle, Ken walked out alive. What helped Ken survive is a highly sophisticated piece of equipment. The human tongue has a number of uses, but its basic function is to tell us what's good for us and what could harm us. 5,000 taste buds let us know what to swallow and what to spit out. And to stay in perfect working order, taste buds only last 10 days before new ones develop. Our tongues are the gatekeepers to our stomachs. The way we interpret taste is a vital life-saving instinct, and it's one that emerges at a remarkably young age.
Foods that have lots of useful energy often taste sweet and sugary. And that's why babies instinctively like sweet foods. So let's see what happens when this baby tries this.
A sweet and sugary concoction of banana puree.
So try this. Oh, go on. Yeah, it's very sweet. You'll like this. You'll like it a lot. There, good boy. Do a bit more. It's sweet, isn't it? But you want a bit more, of course.
Naturally, these babies love it. It's just what their instincts ordered.
Whereas a lot of toxic foods taste bitter. This pureed radicchio isn't actually toxic, but it tastes incredibly bitter, and our babies should find it instinctively, well, yucky. It wasn't my idea to give you this horrible food.
No one needs to teach these babies to avoid bitter food. One small taste is enough to activate the long-evolved survival instinct.
You've gone all pink in the face, look. I'm sorry, I don't want to do this. You've got to...
If it's yucky, it might be life-threatening, so spit it out.
Open wide. Oh, you don't like... Oh, I'm sorry, you don't like... Yeah, try a little bit. Well, you really like it. Yes? Yeah. And it's not just babies that find bitter food disgusting. We all do.
For our ancient ancestors, life was a constant struggle. And it wasn't just finding the right food to eat. Physical threats were everywhere. Here, our survival instincts were honed in an endless round of life and death dramas. These instincts are still deep within us today, and perhaps that's why at times we go looking for danger, to test them out. Pamplona, Spain, the place where danger is sought and survival instincts are put to the test. Every year, during the festival of San Fermin, people come from all over the world to run with the bulls. It's the ultimate adrenaline rush. Since the bull run began, hundreds of people have been horribly gored, and many have lost their lives. Thousands invade Pamplona to experience the sheer thrill of facing death. This summer, firefighter Andy Minton is one of them.
At home, I had a lot of friends tell me I'm crazy, but it's something I've always wanted to do ever since I was a teenager, and finally put some money together, and here it is. Hopefully it's the first of many trips to Pamplona.
Andy's agreed to take part in our experiment to see how the body responds at moments of acute danger, like being chased by 6 angry bulls.
Okay, we got a heart rate monitor here. It's gonna go around my torso.
He'll be wired up to a whole variety of medical sensors. First, a heart rate monitor. This will relay information to a special watch he'll wear on his wrist.
It's like it's fluctuating between 104 and 110. That's a little high. That's a little high. I can feel my heart beating in my chest right now. It's blood pressure cuff. It's gonna go on my left wrist. I'm gonna get a blood pressure reading right now. See how excited I am. About an hour and 15 minutes before the run. Got 159 over 112, so it's a little high already. Finally, I'm going to put a swab in my mouth. It's gonna measure the cortisol level. It's a stress hormone.
The body chemical cortisol is closely associated with adrenaline. Adrenaline may save Andy's life, enabling him to run faster than he's ever done before. Now that Andy is rigged and ready, all he has to do is to wait.
I feel excited. It's an hour before the run, and we watch them erect the barriers. I'm ready to go. The possibility of death by a bull it's there, it's real. It's in the back of my mind.
The bulls are released. Andy waits for them to come near. In the tradition of the bull run, the challenge is to get as close to a charging bull as you dare, without getting gored. The bulls are just inches away, and Andy's body is flooded with a massive burst of adrenaline. His cortisol levels more than double. From a normal resting rate of 72 beats per minute, Andy's heart rate rockets, tripling to an amazing 230 beats per minute.
Definitely in fear. You're definitely in fear. You can feel the stomp of the feet and the hooves and everything. It's wow. It's incredible.
The fear instincts that we rely on to save our lives are immensely powerful, so it's very difficult to turn them off at will. Now, I like to think of myself as a really rational human being. But no matter how often I'm told that these spiders are harmless and can't possibly hurt me, I'm terrified about being even this close to them. This machine is called a relaxometer, and it measures my stress levels by measuring the amount of sweat on my fingertips electrically. And at the moment, when I switch it on, as you can see, I'm fairly relaxed, so the sound it's making is a low pitch. But as I sweat more and get more and more stressed, so the pitch rises to a high squeal. I'm not looking forward to this, but let's see what happens when it crawls over my hand. Although I know these spiders are harmless, I simply can't control my reactions. But why are so many of us afraid of spiders? And snakes. The fear is a legacy from a time when these creatures were a very real threat to our survival. That's why, across all cultures and continents, we're primed to spot them instantly. And fear of snakes is the #1 fear. Here in Los Angeles, we've set up an experiment. We've reassured everyone that these snakes aren't poisonous. But can the modern temptation of a $10 bill overcome our ancient fear?
$10 is not enough.
But there's just so many of them.
I could never put my hand in there, ever. Ah, for anybody in the world. I know it sounds crazy, but I have chills even being near them. I know it sounds like a chick thing, but I can't help it. They just, they're like death to me. They're like the epitome of death.
This one's coming after me. Nah, it's not worth it for $10.
$500? I would try for $1 million. $10? No. No way.
Of course, it is possible to overcome our instincts.
Oh my God, I really hate a little bit, yeah.
But overcoming them is quite a battle.
Snaky, snaky. Oh, little guy. Hi, little guy. Oh, hi, hi. Whoa.
Fear is so important for our survival, we do something absolutely remarkable. Our bodies begin to react to a threat before we're even consciously aware of what the threat might be. Because when we're faced with danger, milliseconds count. At the first hint of danger, early warning signals are sent to the brain via the optic nerve, to our tiny and primitive fear center, the amygdala. This prepares our body for action. Next, nerve pulses are fired down the spinal cord to the adrenal glands near our kidneys. This triggers a release of adrenaline. Now we're on full alert. Adrenaline is the vital hormone that can flood our body in a split second. As it reaches our lungs, we breathe more deeply and take in more oxygen. It also makes our heart beat faster. Oxygen-rich blood is diverted to our muscles. They are now charged springs, waiting for the signal to run or fight. All this before our conscious mind has even registered a threat. This reaction to fear has evolved over millions of years and is known as the fight or flight response. But what happens when there's nowhere to run? One woman was to discover just what she was capable of when her life was suddenly under threat. It began when June Brailsford was waiting in the car for her boyfriend Anthony.
We parked outside the shop. Anthony left the keys in the ignition, kept for the music and the heater for myself. He went into the shop. I was texting my friend on my mobile phone. Next minute, somebody got in the car. I assumed it was Anthony. When I've looked, thought, wait a minute, this isn't him. The guy just drove off with me in the car. And all the time he just repeated, "You're going to die, bitch." That's all he said all the time. And that's exactly what I thought. I thought he would probably take my life.
With nowhere to run, June felt the urge to fight back with the strength she had never imagined she possessed. She fought against her attacker by grabbing the steering wheel in the hope of taking control.
The more I thought about surviving for myself and my children, and I just fought for my life. I wasn't frightened, I didn't feel like fear, I just wanted to fight. I lent myself as far over him as I possibly could, knowing that it gave me an edge.
Then, June saw her chance.
I saw the wall and I thought, that is the best opportunity I'm going to have. And I just turned it as far as I possibly could. I just drove the car and then it hit the wall. He managed to get out and that's how it ended. I don't think of it being brave, I just think that it was survival. It was, you know, you've got to fight.
The fight or flight response has helped humans stay alive for thousands of generations. But our armory of survival instincts doesn't end there. Our inbuilt responses can be very sophisticated, helping us to react to surprisingly subtle dangers. Here, at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, Dr. Valerie Curtis has been researching how our feelings of disgust help us stay alive. Dr. Curtis showed me pairs of similar objects.
What I'd like you to do is to tell me which of the two you find most disgusting.
So here on the right we've got a wasp, and on the left we've got a head louse. The wasp is utterly beautiful. The louse, I think I'd prefer not to have the louse really, given the choice. I've got some eggs on a leaf, which look like happy little faces really, not particularly unpleasant. But the gum infection with the larvae is just disgusting. I mean, repellent. Yuck.
Now, what I'd like you to do with these is to put your fingers into them, please. And then tell us which is the most disgusting.
Am I allowed to wipe my finger afterwards?
You are, yes, there's some towels for you.
Well, the one on the right, it looks like pus, it's got blood in it, isn't it? I find it easy to put my finger into this blue one.
Mm.
It's all sort of mucousy. And the finger in this one, in terms of yuck factor, I'm afraid the yellow wins, hands down. It is not nice.
No.
And the torturous comparisons continued.
Yeah.
Slugs versus leeches.
No, it's the leeches, and I just think that they are awful. Oh!
Caterpillars and maggots.
Take the lid off if you like.
I don't want to.
It just got more and more disgusting.
Earthworms. And human roundworms.
Can you imagine having that inside your tummy?
Those all came from one person.
It's got little babies coming out of it. Oh.
And then, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, two sinister empty vials appeared.
V is vinegar.
That's right.
Oh. God, that's unpleasant. Organic smell.
Yes,
what is it?
It's skatole, which is a component of human feces.
Yes, well, it smells like it.
So what is the common factor which makes one of these things more instinctively repellent than the other? It's their potential to give us a disease or make us sick. Lice, leeches and roundworms are all parasites that feed on our bodies. Like the larvae in this person's mouth, all of them can easily spread illness. The yellow goo looks worse because, again, it seems like the result of some horrible infection. Maggots thrive in feces, which is riddled with harmful bacteria.
I have to smell that again, do I?
Even though the existence of bacteria and the damage they can cause has only been discovered in the last 150 years, people in all cultures all over the world and throughout history share feelings of disgust. Valerie Curtis is convinced that our disgust instinct is so strong we even fear contamination from objects which are perfectly safe, but which we associate with germs.
A bowl of your favourite vegetable soup.
I love vegetable soup.
No, before you eat it, there's one thing I want to do to it. This is a toilet brush. I've just taken it out of its wrapper.
I was feeling quite hungry. I think I'm going to give it a miss. Looks like a martini.
It's lovely, doesn't
Got a
it?
slice of lemon.
Not a slice of lemon, but a sterile cockroach. Clean cockroach. Perfectly safe, nothing wrong with it.
As a scientist, I know it's safe, but can I drink it?
Do go on, drink it, go on, drink some.
Perhaps I won't.
The disgust instinct is useful because it keeps us away from things which could give us a disease. But sometimes, simply avoiding danger is just part of the survival story. At times, we can be faced with choices, all of them life-threatening, and it's then that a new set of instincts kicks in, to take risks. Andy Markham is alive today because he took a huge risk when all the odds were stacked against him.
A major disaster in the North Sea.
171 men are missing, feared dead.
The explosion happened about an hour and a half ago on the Piper Alpha platform.
The world's worst oil disaster.
The fires are still raging up 700 feet above the wreckage of Piper Alpha.
They say that there are men in the water and others still on board.
Andy was on the Piper Alpha platform in 1988 when a massive explosion ripped it apart. This will be the first time that he stepped foot on an oil rig since that terrible night when he came face to face with death.
I feel a bit apprehensive. There's a bit sense of sadness. It brings back memories, but I'm afraid that none of them are pleasant memories, you know. Last time I was on an oil rig was 11 p.m. exactly on the 6th of July 1988. I had to jump from 150 feet into the sea. I was pretty badly injured and a lot of my friends were killed. So being back here on a rig for the first time since then, you know, I'm in a sort of emotional turmoil.
That night, over 200 men were working on the Piper Alpha platform, but unknown to them, gas was building up just below the waterline. Andy's will to survive was about to be tested.
I can remember being in my office, the radio saying, "This is the 10 o'clock news," and there's a tremendous bang.
On the platform, and we're abandoning the
hopeless, and it didn't look like we were going to make the lifeboats. We tried all the exits, you know, we were being beaten back by smoke and flames at every turn. It was like Dante's Inferno. It was horrific. There was flames and explosions and glass and oxygen cylinders exploding. That's why you thought you were going to die at any given moment. You know, I didn't die once, I died 20 times. When we saw a break in the flames, we decided to go for it and get into the storeroom. There was a few horrendous explosions going off, and the tools started to get flung about. I remember there was a chap flung against me and pinned me against the wall. His body weight pinned me, and I had to lift him right out of his boots to get out of the storeroom, and I think the chap was obviously dead.
Andy fought his way through the flames to the edge of the platform. With his skin burning, he faced an agonizing choice. He'd been taught that to jump the 150 feet into the sea would mean certain death. But the rig was on fire, so instinct won out.
I can remember when I got to the edge of the rig and looked down and saw the distance, and obviously had heard the stories that it can't be done if you jump from more than 40 feet, that you're hitting concrete. But I was on fire, it was jump or fry, so I jumped.
Incredibly, the jump didn't kill him. Eventually, he was rescued from the water. The impossible choice Andy made between risky options was a choice made on instinct and taken in a split second.
Did you hesitate before you jumped? Did you, or did you?
Couldn't. No.
Andy gambled with his life and won. This instinct we all share to take risks emerged from deep in our past.
For countless centuries, in this remote part of the southern African savannah, fires have been lit by the Kalahari hunter-gatherers for warmth and food, only to be abandoned as they move on. And the way the Kalahari Bushmen live now provides us with clues as to the survival tactics of our long-distant ancestors.
With food so scarce, the Kalahari Bushmen are forced into a continuous search for more to eat. If they stay in one place for too long, they'll simply starve. But traveling from place to place brings its own perils, whether from predators or from other dangers. So surviving becomes a choice between risky options.
For our ancestors, as for the Kalahari Bushmen of today, taking risks in the face of danger has evolved to become a crucial survival instinct.
which is why you have places like this.
Las Vegas, a city that's been built from the human drive to take risks.
Risk is intricately entwined with reward, and seeking the best reward possible is part of our evolutionary heritage.
And the more we're backed against a wall, the bigger the risk we'll take.
Whether it's for food, money, or anything else.
The less you have, the bigger the difference to your life a win will make. Here in America, the poorer households with less than $10,000 a year spend nearly 3 times as much on lottery tickets as richer families with $50,000 a year. Across the globe, even the remotest tribes have been found to gamble.
We're all descended from the humans who took risks and won and went on to populate the world.
Craft 260. Hey.
And those instincts are still very much with us today.
Through an amazing combination of risk-taking, physical reactions, and senses which help us avoid danger, modern humans are ideally equipped to survive, just as our ancient ancestors were. But the story of survival doesn't end here.
From the moment we're born, our personal survival is paramount, and our instincts are there to protect us. But one thing can change all that: becoming a parent.
My kids may drive me mad sometimes, but as a father, there's no doubt I go to any lengths to be there for them. I'm just like any parent anywhere in the world. But one of the most useful gifts we give our children happens without our even realizing, because we pass all our vital instincts on, so every single one of us is in a position to survive the rigors of life on instinct.